Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I am here in Pittsburgh, not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I live. I'm in Pittsburgh, Kansas today, visiting my family. And I'm here with a family of seekers. We're reading through the Bhagavad Gita, and we're really trying to make it relevant in our lives, trying to live the Bhagavad Gita, trying to see our lives through the lens of the Bhagavad Gita is what we're trying to do here. And it's confronting. It's confronting. And I'm really feeling that. I was just sharing with the group today before we went on live that the verses we're going to read today, I feel are just resonating so much in my life right now. I've shared a little bit, but I'm visiting my family because my dad's really sick. My dad's an alcoholic, and it's kind of catching up with him, and he's having a lot of health problems. And my dad's not a bad person. He's not a bad person, but he really struggles. He has a lot of demons, and he struggles with alcohol. And these verses that we're going to read today, I really resonated with me. It really provided me a lot of solace. Is that the right word? Solace? Like peace for this
Solace.
situation. Is that not, is that is the right word?
It's solace.
Solace. Thank you. Solace. Yeah, like peace for this situation. Because in these verses that we're going to read, Krishna reassures us that even if, you mess up, even if you do some pretty bad things, that you're still his devotee and that he still takes care of you. And yeah, that makes me feel a lot of peace in what I'm going through with my dad when I'm seeing him suffer. I'm seeing him suffer with this addiction. I know my dad does have a relationship with God. So to know that, just because you maybe fall down a little bit or you slip up, it doesn't mean that it's all for nothing. It doesn't mean that any of it even goes away. It's actually you keep all your spiritual credits and Krishna still takes care of you. So we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper, and I hope you guys will also feel some solace, either for yourselves or your loved ones, or probably both, honestly. So before we get into the verses, Shakti, do you want to say our prayers for us?
Yeah, please. Thank you. Om Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kara Mayam Tatati Sva Pandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vashakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Garungi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Bhavembhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasara Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thank you, Shakti. Let's get right into the Gita here. We are starting chapter 9, Text 30 is where we're starting. So chapter 9, text 30. And when you're ready, Stella, can you read that for us?
Yes. Apichetsu duracharo bhajate mamananyabhak sadhur eva samantavya samagvyasito hi saha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
Thank you. So this at first might sound a little bit confusing. Yeah, like how can someone who does something wrong still be called a sadhu? And Krishna's not saying that their actions are good, and he's not even like kind of justifying, or just kind of like bypassing actions, but he's kind of bringing us into something deeper, and that is that a devotee has two identities that are operating at the same time. We have to understand kind of this will really help you understand yourself and other people too, and hopefully be a little bit more compassionate and understanding towards yourself and other people. Because we all have a conditional identity. And this conditional identity is shaped by habits, trauma, past conditioning, family influences, the modes of nature. Like that's like our karmic package. And then we all have a constitutional identity. And this is our eternal soul. This is the our eternal soul whose real nature is to love and serve God. And as long as we're in this world, these two identities can run side by side. And sometimes they harmonize beautifully, but other times they collide. And this means that a person can genuinely love Krishna, sincerely chant, sincerely serve, and still sometimes act in ways that don't reflect their higher selves. And this isn't because they're insincere. This is because their conditioning is just so strong. So Krishna's acknowledging this, and 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 he's not, he's allowing us to be human in this. That recognize that your conditioning may pull you sometimes. That doesn't mean that you're not saintly. And so when we talk about a sadhu, what makes a person a sadhu? It's not their perfection. It's not their spotless behavior. It's not their ability to just be steady 24/7. Krishna says people are saintly because they haven't deviated from the path of bhakti. They don't blame or reject God even when they fall. They're not doubting these truths. They're not blaming the process for their shortcomings. They're remaining determined even when their behavior wavers. And so it's this sincerity, wanting Krishna despite imperfections, that Krishna's honoring here. And Jiva Goswami, he adds this important note. He tells us that this verse, it's kind of a rhetorical glorification. Like it's a strong way of saying that bhakti is so powerful that even a major slip doesn't cut you off from God. So it doesn't mean like just do whatever you want and Krishna's fine with it. Like it's not that Krishna's blessing intentional wrongdoing. This verse is meant to be a lifeline, not a license, not a license to just do whatever you want. It's meant to be a lifeline. And there's a really beautiful metaphor you maybe heard Prabhupada uses and to explain this verse. And I feel like I always knew this. I've heard this metaphor quite a bit, but I didn't really get it. I feel like until I was really kind of diving deeper into the meaning of this verse. And this metaphor is that a devotee's accidental mistake is like the small dark spot on the moon Just like the small dark spot on the moon. It doesn't stop the moon from shining. It doesn't cancel its beauty. It doesn't define the moon. So in the same way, an accidental fall down, it doesn't define a devotee. And again, it doesn't mean we should take advantage of this verse. It doesn't mean we should, because if we really love Krishna, if we really love God, then we want to show up for God. And that showing up for God is living a godly life. Right? But that doesn't mean that sometimes our conditioning won't get the best of us and we make a mistake. It doesn't mean that we should just throw the baby out with the bathwater and just fall down. And it doesn't mean that we should deliberately use bhakti as an excuse for just being irresponsible. You know, we need to strive to improve, to act with integrity, to harmonize our conditional life with where we're going spiritually. That's what we want to do. But know that if we make a little mistake, it doesn't define you. So if anybody's struggling, with guilt or, you know, kind of accepting some of their behavior or maybe other people's behavior, know this. Okay, this little mistake, whatever you've done in your past, it's just like a tiny little speck on the moon, and it doesn't keep the moon from shining. So let's not let it define us or others. And this is so beautiful because when I first came into spiritual life, it's easy when you don't know, when you don't really understand the essence of a tradition, to become a little bit judgmental. Yeah, and you look around and you're like, they're doing that. They must not be very sincere. Or like my dad, like he's drinking alcohol. He must not really be serious about his relationship with God. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that their conditioning in that area is pulling them in a way that isn't in line with their higher self. But they could still be very much attached to God. And this is just kind of paradoxical, and especially sometimes like in our black and white thinking. You go to church, it's like if you're a good person, you do this, this, and this, and if you don't, you must not be godly. But we really need to work to get out of this way of thinking because it's limiting. It limits ourselves, it limits others, right? And it limits our relationships with others. So we need to understand that just because somebody's struggling or being pulled down by a certain habit or behavior or mistake does not mean that they're not spiritual, that they don't have a close relationship with God. And this other point I want to make is Krishna's love it's both unconditional and it's conditional. Okay, I love these paradoxes. So his love is unconditional. We know that. There's nothing that we can do. There's no mistake, there's no failure, there's no past action that can make God stop loving us. He's eternally our well-wisher. He's always wants the best for us. Just like the sun continues to shine no matter what happens on earth, God's love is just always there. But we have to understand too that a loving relationship is different from love itself. Because love can be one-sided. You can love somebody and they not love you back. Now, that can happen. But a relationship cannot be one-sided. A relationship requires two people turning towards each other. So even if you love your significant other with all your heart, but they don't really love you, it's not going to work. And it requires two people turning towards each other. So Krishna's always extending his love towards us. His love is always there. But if we turn away from it, if we're filling our hearts with desires that aren't conducive to that relationship, then we're blocking our own ability to feel his love. And that's what's happening. It just like puts a wall up between us and God. It's just like we're closing our eyes to the sunlight. Now the sun's still shining everywhere, but we've covered our capacity to see it. So we're not able to experience it. So Krishna's love is unconditional. Again, think of the sunlight. It's unconditional. but our experience of the love depends on the condition of our hearts. So when we open our heart through devotion, through humility, through remembrance, through sincerity, we become receptive. Okay, so God's love is always there, but we have to be willing to receive it. And this is why it's so important that the practice of bhakti is purifying our hearts, so that our hearts can be that fertile soil to receive God's love. So it's so important, again, that we strive to live godly lives. But just because we fall doesn't mean that you know that we're not spiritual, or that we don't have that relationship, or that we're less than. So this verse, Krishna's teaching us, don't judge others by their worst moment. And don't lose faith in yourself because of a stumble. Don't think that God rejects you when you make mistakes. If you feel any kind of rejection when you mess up, know that that's not God. Right? That's you. And that's okay. But know that that's not God. Right? And get back up on that horse. Don't drink a whole cup of poison just because you took a sip. Anybody ever do that? It's like, well, I already ate a half of bag of Doritos. I'm just going to finish the rest of it. No, it's okay. You may fall. God still loves you. And don't assume that conditioning means hypocrisy. Sometimes it just means humanity. It's just somebody's conditioning getting the worst of them. And so he's telling us here that bhakti is stronger than our karma. Bhakti is stronger than our karma. Bhakti can pull us out. And a sincere devotee is never lost. Krishna's walking with us through the struggle. He's not just there for us after we conquer it. He's there for us the whole time. So this verse, it's about hope. It's about orientation over perfection. It's about Krishna's loyalty to those who remain loyal to him, even when they're struggling. And that's the point here. You're struggling. Remember Krishna. He's always there for us. Don't let your conditioning get the best of you. Know that there's a part of you that isn't your conditioning. That is that spirit soul. Ready to love and turn towards Krishna. And Krishna's just waiting. What do you guys think? Stella.
Okay. I wasn't going to speak it. I just think this is one of the most beautiful classes I've ever heard. Um, there's so many thoughts going through my head. I think you understand already. I don't usually express myself this way, but I think the way that the class started, or it really affected me, and I've had a hard time concentrating because I connect so much to what Shakti and yourself, Radha, have said. Early in my life, I lost friends to drugs when I was quite young. And more recently, my best friend here in Iowa suffered from alcoholism for quite some years. And we were very close, and also we worked together, so I saw him every day. And both Stella and I really stayed with him and did what we could. One day we practically had to break down his door and to rescue him, and give him some drink and some food. But I guess what I'm thinking is that when first that anyone who we've loved and lost, like, they've gotten the best benefit anyone could get, because they've gotten the benefit of devotee association. And both of you have given your friend and your father that. And with addiction and alcoholism, there's just only so much we can do. And it's one of the hardest things, I think. I'm sure others of you have had this experience also, that it's so frustrating because you do everything you can, and you could do it for years and years, and there's nothing you can do.
You're a full human
There's still, but what I've seen, our friend Pat passed because it's been 2 years now, and he would some days, he would call me and I was the best person in the world, and other days he'd call me, I was the worst person in the world. But he said Krishna and he heard Krishna, and now it's maybe 2 years later, and I guess I feel like I've done, we both did, but I've done what I could do. And I think if we can feel like we've done what we can do for our friends and our parents and those we know who've suffered, um, that's something that we can carry on as well and know that they've taken a step forward in this life. Um, they haven't not moved backwards, but with our association even, that they've moved a step forward and they don't come back, they come back that much more forward, more ahead in their path. And that we, by being their friends and their parents and their children, we are also one of their gurus, and we've done what we could do to whatever our capacity. And sometimes as a child and as a friend, there's so little that we can do, and we watch them suffer. Um, but we've given them, we have given them also Krishna in their lives, whether they are quote devotees or not devotees. And so I just remember that, and I know that I I did what at that moment I could have done, and I'm just both of your stories are really moving me today. So thank you for sharing. Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful and encouraging share. Thank you. Yeah, I sat with my dad last night and he doesn't really talk much and his breathing is like really heavy. And I asked him, I was like, Dad, do you want me to come back tomorrow and we can just read the Bible? Because I know he's not, real favorable to this path, but I know he's into the Bible. So he said, yeah, let's do that. So I'm after this call, actually, I'm gonna go over and do that. And it's all like just bittersweet, because it feels like it does feel like you can do something. We can offer them whatever they'll take, even if if they're not open to philosophy, maybe just prasadam, maybe they don't even know that it's prasadam. I cooked my dad dinner last night, like that. It's like, and so it just makes you feel like Krishna's taking care of them. Krishna's taking care of them because he is. It's really sweet to see and to experience.
Radha.
Prabhupada said prasadam is everything.
Mm.
That like if you can do that, you've done everything. And I would say at my lowest points, in terms of Pat, that I looked around and it's not that Krishna spoke to me, but Krishna let me know that he was still there,
Mm. You
and
felt it.
he's still there. And so, he's still there for you and he's still there for them too. Like you say, whether they know it or not, we're all in his domain. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Such a powerful share. Thank you for opening up, Kalachandji. We're so honored to see this side of you. Do you have something to say, Shakti?
Yeah, I wanted to just uh thank Kalachandri for his beautiful opening up and his beautiful heart for sharing from deep down. I could feel it. It was deep down, and I know that place, right? And it's not easy to go there. It's not easy because I don't, at least for me, I'm afraid it's all going to fall apart, right? Like I'm going all the way down and I could blow up and I don't want that, right? But what I wanted to say to you was, you know, I know there's people on here that, other than myself, that, like, my brother suffers with addiction. And there's nothing I can do. I used to fly to California. He was on heroin, and people would call me and say, "Your brother's going to die. You have to come out here." I'd go out there, and in his house, the only thing he had was needles and rubber ties. Like he had no food, everything had mold on it. But I go anyway, and I would be with him anyway. And what you're doing for your father is so beautiful. Like you're giving him, even though he may be full of alcohol, whatever he's full of, the point is that you're going to go there and you're giving him a sense of peace and peace of mind, because to sit to read from the Bible with him, that is so beautiful. And it's such a lesson for me, right? To really pull back like the criticisms, the judgments, and really say, like, we're that we're living in Kali Yuga. And so Krishna knows this. Prabhupada knew this was coming. So he's giving us all of these, like, tools, like a toolbox, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavatam, he's giving us tools so that we can make it through on our, by with ourselves, but also with others. And so I hope that you understand that what you're doing is so brave and beautiful and really hard, but you're doing it anyway. Your father is really lucky. So yeah, Hare Krishna, Radha. I'm so proud. I'm so proud to know you and be your friend.
Thank you, Shakti. It's Krishna's mercy. It's all just Krishna's mercy. Even the forgiveness I've been able to have from my father over the years is just Krishna's mercy. And that's what can even make this sweet. I can be there for him and I have that love and compassion for him. Yeah. Okay, thank you all. Let's move on to 31. This is also beautiful. It's like a
Radha, may
follow-up to
I
30.
share? Radha,
What?
may I share?
Yes. Yes, is this Madri?
Yes.
Yes, please share.
Mm. Well, I'm also emotional. Okay, because my father, I think yesterday, let me see. No, 2 days ago was his he he died in a car accident because of the alcohol. He was an alcoholic. And I was looking at my watch and I'm like, oh, January 13th. He died on January 13th, like 43 years ago. I was 14. And I had a lot of grief I had to process recently because I stored a lot over the years. As a 14, I didn't know really how to process it. But what comes to me, first I was thinking, well, I wish I can feel, like when Shakti was sharing, I was like, I don't have any feelings, but my feelings, I kind of, it takes a while for them to come up. And I was like reflecting that now it's my brother who is suffering from alcoholism. I'm Polish, so my family is in Poland. But I was admiring actually Shakti that she's able to go and see her brother, you said, right? because I'm glad that I don't see my brother, because it hurts me so much that I'm like, it's like unbearable and I cannot do anything. So like, I better not to see. So I admire those who are able to see, what they go through. And anyway, that's on a personal note. At the same time, I was also touched by your class, my second class, the session I'm attending. And Kalachanji Prabhu was saying this is like the best one. And I don't have the comparison. But I was like, oh my goodness, this is so good. I even brought some sewing for me because last time I was like, I need some sewing. My mind is too restless. But today I couldn't even, it was just too good for me to do anything else. I often during the classes, I'm like, it's just, I cannot focus.
Wow.
And somebody said, what's most personal, it's also most universal. And I think those sharings are just, there's so much, it's personal, but it's so universally applicable. And it's our shared human experience. As you said, we have both, we live in this material body and we are spiritual beings. And having these material conditionings. And I also remember, it's funny how last time I also was sharing, somehow or other I have these Christian things coming up to me during your class. Because I remember hearing that it was related to Jesus Christ that Varshana Maharaj says it, that, when the father sees he's got many children, but who his heart is drawn to, those who suffer, because they need the father more than those who are doing okay. So when you were talking about the suffering and we are talking about the suffering, actually Krishna is more focused on those who just like really need him, that those who are somewhat have it together, if there is such thing like having it together, that that's the focus. When the child is in trouble, that's where the focus go. So Varshana Maharaj was reminding me when I was in my ups and downs and going through all my struggles. And I'm like, Maharaj, this is like too much. I remember that's where he shared the story. Okay, I will.
Wow.
I have more to say, but I want others to share. So Nancy is
Wow.
waiting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Marjorie. Thank you.
I'm so glad.
It's not coincidence that this collection of people is on this call today, you know? This is really this is extraordinary. And now we're going to hear from Nancy. And Nancy is she's like an expert in this field. She's our resident Bhakti recovery group. So Nancy is like a 12-step guru. She has lots of sponsees, and I was actually going to call on you, Nancy, so I'm glad you raised your hand. Please share with us your insights.
Yeah, I feel I am an alcoholic. I've been in recovery for over 43 years. When your father died, Audrey, I was when I came into recovery. And what I was thinking of is that there's always hope. There's always hope. You know, my father came into recovery when he was 50. I came in when I was 26, and my son came in at 17. And this is a family disease that can I believe there's a genetic component, there's a societal component or whatever. But I feel such guilt for all of you who are suffering with the alcoholic and addict. Um, in Al-Anon, we talk about the three C's. One, the first C is you didn't cause it. We sometimes believe there is something that I could have done to stop this, that I was responsible for this happening. The second C is I can control it somehow. I will limit the amount of alcohol, or I will stop somebody. I will send them off somewhere to a detox. I will do whatever to control this whole path. And the last is that you can't cure it. And it really comes to a place where we have to sometimes, and I think that it's been said so beautifully, we have to be the walking Bhagavatam. We've got to be the walking Bhagavad Gita. I've got to be the walking big book. I've got to be the walking Srimad Bhagavatam, or whatever we can do to try to aid a person who's suffering. I can't even tell you how many funerals I've been in, looking down at an addict that's died, watching their family dissolve in despair. And for me, I'm always thinking, well, I do hope that you come back and do it differently the next time, because I know you're not going to get out of this without facing your disease of alcoholism or drug addiction. That's my belief. And I do everything in my life today to hopefully come back in the next one, um, with this lesson of sobriety, with this lesson of God's love, with this lesson that, I'm not a bad person, but I also believe that God loves me no more, no less than the addict that's dying right now with a needle in their arm.
Mm.
I really don't believe that I have a um, I have the golden brass ring because I'm sober. I believe that I am only here by grace, God's grace and mercy. And so it is really, we always have to do everything we can to just
Can you take her in
protect,
another room, Mom?
Yeah, but she's gonna scream.
sorry,
I'm
protect
sorry,
our,
my daughter.
sorry, protect ourselves when we're working with somebody in this place, because an addict doesn't mean to hurt us. An addict doesn't mean to lie, doesn't want to lie. An addict doesn't want to say the mean, horrible things that they do say. It is often the venom that's in our hearts comes out towards others when we're confronted. So it's really important to protect ourselves. And there's great programs that help us, like Al-Anon or Alateen or ACA, or all these other programs that can help us to deal with this addiction. But it's been said, just being steady-minded and being of help, reaching out and showing up where we can and how we can, and giving, our love and affection as we can, really helps. Because if we stand by and we just say, even setting a boundary of, you were so sick, I can't be with you right now. I'm going to
Mm.
love you forever and always. This is what I used to say to my son. I don't like you right now, but I will love you forever and always. And
Mm.
I just started chanting constantly, Krishna, please wrap your arms around my son, I give him to you. Please wrap your arms around him, I give my son to you. While he was hitting his bottom. And I say that about myself, wrap your arms around me too, because, there's no guarantee. I work very hard at staying in recovery, so that I not only work at getting deeper in bhakti, to getting closer to God in bhakti and understanding more and coming to wisdom and absorption and love, but I also still reach my hand out to the person that's shaking with one day and say, well, let me show you where the coffee is and you come sit next to me. And so I'm very active still in recovery for that reason. But there's always hope. So don't give up. Don't lose
And
heart.
Wow.
And you're not
Nancy,
at fault, whatever you can do. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Nancy, before
Krishna.
you sign off, there are people on the comment board that are looking for places to go.
Okay. I
If
will I
you
will
could,
respond. Thank you.
okay, thanks, Nancy.
Yes. Erica says, this is crazy because I became an addict because of my divorce and my inability to care for myself or work because of health, and I've been silently suffering. But I signed up for a recovery Dharma group starting Wednesday next week. This is insane, Krishna Mercy. Yeah, Erica, this is not a coincidence that
Uh,
you are on this call today. This is not like a normal thing that we
we,
just
we,
talk about. This.
Yeah, in recovery call these God instances instead
Mm.
of coincidences. Yeah, and I will post the Bhakti Recovery Group meetings here, as well as AA meetings, as well as NA meetings, so that you can get as much. And I'll put Al-Anon in as well. Put a links in for that for everybody else.
Wonderful. Thank you.
On the live chat, you mean you'll put the links? Not
Oh,
just in the chat
you're on
board?
mute,
Oh,
Nancy.
Well, I
Oh,
don't know where the live chat is, but I do
um,
know I don't know that I have that.
yeah, I
I
gave Radha Priti your phone number to add to our this group's live chat.
okay.
Um,
yeah.
so
I'll make sure that happens.
Okay, and
thank
then
you.
what I will do though is I'll put it in here, and then when I get in, I will add that to the live chat.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nancy, I have a question for you. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
You say, there's never hope or never give up hope.
Right.
But then you talked about the three C's, the care, it's not your fault.
Yeah, you didn't
The,
cause it, you
you
can't
didn't.
control it, and you can't cure it. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you synthesize those two things? Not giving up hope, but then accepting that you didn't
Well, you
cause
might
it.
you might have to realize that you have to put your loved one in somebody else's hand. You know,
Mm,
you might have to say, I don't have the ability to do this and suggest, maybe you should just try therapy. That's sometimes always the first step for people. Like if you've
mm,
gone to a therapist and sometimes through therapy, a therapist will guide them, maybe you should go to an AA meeting. Maybe you
mm,
should, and it really is Krishna's mercy, but um, the power of recovery is that one addict helping another. Because if you are not an addict, you don't understand how crazy my mind can be. You don't
mm.
understand that when I was using, my mind was in a perpetual scream,
Wow.
and I couldn't live with it. I couldn't live without it, and it is such a difficult place to explain to somebody, because you're using something that's killing you. How could you possibly want to do that? But
Yeah.
an addict's like, no, but this time it's different. I can handle
Mm,
it. You don't understand. This time I'm going to be able to just do a little and I'm going to be okay, right? And it is so unbelievably confusing to a non-addict that we would be this way. But when those of us who are in recovery sit there and listen to the worst stories, which make no difference to us, it's like the stories are don't even touch my heart anymore. But when the person says it, all of a sudden I felt the hand of God.
mm.
That's when I break down, because that's when there's really a chance, you know.
Wow.
And you can't give that to them. I don't believe. You can
Mm,
try. But
mm.
somehow it's one addict helping another that is the most powerful way of really the message coming across, because there's so much shame and guilt. We know we're not supposed to be doing this. We know that this is like we're killing our families. We know that we're hurting, and we still pick up the drink or pick up the needle,
Mm.
whatever it is. And it doesn't make sense to do this. And you
Right.
are all looking at us like you're crazy, and we are crazy. We are crazy.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Nancy. Marjorie, did you have something more to share?
Yes. Um, okay, I will say it even though I'm not like addicted to any gross substances. But I listened, especially not maybe recently, I listened a lot to Gabor Mates. You probably know him. Um, of his whatever classes. I went to a bunch of his workshops, and he's so much. One of his books it's about addiction, and what he says, it's not. Don't ask. Uh, it's not. He said, don't ask why addiction. Ask why is the pain there, because there's a pain which is being numbed. Where I'm going with it is that I was going to reflect on my little bit that on as we become devotees, there's subtle levels of addictions. There's a
Mm,
gross levels, which is obviously, acknowledged by the society. We have the alcohol, we have the drugs. But then as we are getting more purified, we see the subtle levels. And I realized as we were talking that one of my recent intentions is to become conscious because I have so many ways of actually numbing myself by especially chocolate, which is an addiction,
Mm.
and becoming unconscious if that's the same what the addicts are doing. I'm an addict on a subtle level in gross because of my chocolate, because I'm often like not present. I'm often like, I don't want to hear things. I don't want to be present. I'm sleeping somewhat semi-conscious. Anyway, it's just, there's levels of being an addict, and being in the material world, we are definitely an addict here.
I'm so glad you brought that point up, Madri. I'm so glad you brought that point up because I'd feel the very same way. I was always so afraid to touch alcohol because I saw my dad, but I would numb with like sugar. Just and
Yeah.
and when I would come home, I would see it was even worse. Like I would eat sugar till I felt sick. Sometimes I would even like throw up. And this is like pretty embarrassing. But it was like it was an addiction. Yeah. And I'm home this time and yesterday was a Ekadasi, it was a fast day. And I actually did okay. And I really couldn't believe it because it's like usually just on normal. If I'm here just with my family, the sugar is uncontrollable. But now I'm going through all of this and I was like, actually, this is fine. I'm really okay. And I attribute that only to my increased connection with God. It's like just filling
Oh,
that hole that I'm not even noticing that those cravings are not overpowering like they used to be. But that's what addiction is, right, Nancy? It's a spiritual disease, right? It's a yeah, we're lacking that connection with God. And so we're filling our hearts up with other things that we think are going to help. And at best, maybe they just make us even, but at worst, something like alcohol will just bring us down, right?
Yeah, it's a disease of the mind, body, and soul. And so if we get physically addicted. If I take alcohol, immediately I need more. I have to have more. I physically crave it. I can't do anything with it. When we become separated from alcohol that we no longer physically need it, it's our mind that tells us this is the solution. It's not my problem. It's my solution to life. This is what I need
Mhm.
to do. And if indeed we don't get a spiritual connection, we will drink again. I know that. So
Mhm.
it has to be a spiritual solution eventually for us to be able to stay not just abstinent, because who wants to be abstinent? I want to have a full life of joy and love and freedom. And that's the only way to do that is to be separated physically, mentally, and then to find the spiritual connection. Yeah.
Yeah, because as long as we're feeling the discomfort with life and we're reaching for something like alcohol, we're not reaching for connection, and the alcohol is actually bringing us lower. Yeah, we'd have to abstain from that or whatever addiction it is, whatever we're filling our God's shaped hole in our heart with. We have to kind of pull away, regulate it a little bit, or if it's something as destructive as alcohol, get rid of it, and then start filling up our God-shaped hole in our heart with connection with Source. And that's the only way out. Yeah. That's why
And
12 step, it's like the most successful program there is, right? 12 step.
Yeah.
There, there are many, there's a lot of gurus out there. This is my plan, this is how I'll take, but I, I've been doing this for a long time. And if you do the work, do actually work the 12 steps, not just attend meetings, but actually do the hard work because it's a matter of understanding those anartas, those things that are causing us to stuff our problems or stuff our feelings with alcohol or drugs, that we have to realize, and we have to go and make amends. We have to go and take daily inventories. I have to meditate and pray on a daily basis and ask Krishna to please relieve me of the bondage of self. Please help
Mm.
me to not continue to create havoc in this world, to tread lightly. And then I have to work with others. My mission is to help other people. And so that's my dharma, and it's in the area of recovery. And it's very important part of me staying sober. Yeah.
Thank you. So powerful. I think we had Shakti and Stella both had something to say, right?
Um, oh, I, this has been an amazing class that I'm going to share with, I can think of so many, to share it with. Um, I just wanted to also, see, the other side of the people who sit with those who are addicted too. Even if we are also not in recovery, like what, others, we don't know the impact it has on others. And I'm not just talking about the person, like our friend Pat. Um, uh, we just hung in there through thick and thin, and he lost a lot of people along the way. And we had to step back sometimes, but when you shine your light, that light goes further than even the other person. And so, now it's 2 years later, and his son, um, who actually lost his scholarship to college, behavior and all that stuff, because anyway, he was materially hurt also by what's going on. But he came to, Kalachanji, for guidance, for fatherly advice. And there was, there, he saw and heard things because we showed up.
Mm.
And like, it's not like we were even that close. Like, I mean, we were, like, he's a kid, and we knew him, but we didn't know him, really, because he was a teenager and all that. But he came, and we kind of asked him, like, why? And he said, well, when we spoke at the funeral and everything, he realized, like, um that we were, and Carl was somebody he could trust, because we trusted his dad to be a human being, and we loved him no matter what.
Mm.
And so he was turning to us, even though, you know, it was just, I'm all I'm saying is, you being there with your dad and reading the Bible, the light's hitting all of your family members
Mm.
in ways we can't even begin to understand.
Mm.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Stella. Shakti, did you have something to share?
Yeah, Stella, thank you for sharing. It was so beautiful. I just wanted to add that, like, I had an eating disorder when I was like 16. I was anorexic. So I was not, that was my way, my control. I'm going to control the food because I can't control my insane house, my parents, the fighting, the insanity. I couldn't control that. So I'm going to control my food. And, and like you said, Nancy, there's no, like, I was like 80 pounds, and people were like, why are you not eating? Like, people don't understand. It wasn't about the food. It wasn't about the food. It was about the control. And so I share that only to say, and thank God I was able to overcome that within a few years. But I say that because I heard you talk about, like, I also at points had some bulimia tendencies, which was the throwing up. And so you talked about that. And then also, where did she go? Oh, the other lady was talking about the chocolate. So, oh, there you
Madre.
are, Marjorie. I was like, you're right in front of me. Yeah, there's eating disorders. So that I want to say that because I don't want you to think like, and I don't know what you're thinking, but just to know that it's the eating disorder is the exact same thing as the alcohol and the heroin. It's
Mm.
all the same. It's just using something to numb the body, to not feel, to not deal, to not go there. So I'm going to eat this entire bag of chips. I'm going to veg out and watch this, I don't know what TV show, and I'm just not even going to deal or think about anything. And so there's a million different ways to do it, but there's also a million different ways to get help. And that's, I think, at the end of all of this, like Nancy put a bunch of things up. There's also Overeaters Anonymous, all of these anonymous programs. And I think Nancy is right. I've been through a lot of this with between my brother and all of the what I went through, and the anonymous programs are really the only thing. There's no guru. There's the anonymous programs, and if and it's and one of the things they say, it works if you work it, right, Nance? So that's what they say at the end of the meeting. It works
So
if you
work it,
work
you're
it.
worth it. So work
Yeah,
it, you're worth it.
there you go. So that's it. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Thank you,
There are
Shakti, for that.
bhakti recovery groups. Some of the sage groups and Wisdom of the Sages are recovery groups. And there's also, in Philadelphia and all that, people could
Thank you.
do.
Yeah, I put the site up so people
Oh,
can
good.
see.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Katie, what do you have for us? I know you have a sister who is struggling with alcohol.
Yeah, hi, Ball. Oh my goodness. I mean, really, I mostly I'm just feeling so grateful and wanted to really say a big, big thank you to all of you because um I feel like this is really so reassuring and so hopeful. And I also, in the beginning of class, was just like kind of stunned with just like how great it was. Yeah, and it's amazing how like we can see Krishna's hand and we see um you know even in small ways like his past. Like I'm sitting here at home where normally I'd be like in the car running up to the clock in now, like not really as able to engage, and I just was really like emotional this morning and needing to like emote and like just stay home, and I looked at my deities and was like, should I stay home, and I also had to do like a trigger shot, like a one-off hormone shot. So I think it's making me like, also I need to take care of myself. It's making me hormonal. um, so instead I'm gonna like, my sister needs a ride to like an hour away. And I was like, oh, I'll be at work. And instead I'm gonna do that. And Krishna so kindly helped me decide that like right before the class started, and you guys are just so helpful in helping me feel like hopeful for myself with addictions for the future and the now, hopefully. Hopeful for being able to connect better with my sister, and just like, you know, um, the reaching out and the still enjoying and still loving. Um, it's just amazing how our connections to each other support and show Krishna's hand, and I'm so so grateful. Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie. Nancy, do you want to just conclude class here with anything that's coming to your heart? Do you want to just give us maybe a message of hope, bring us home here?
Yeah, I think that I would reiterate that there is always hope and that what we sow, we reap, so that therefore giving and loving will always come back to us. And even if your father never gets it, Radha, your daughter's seeing you do this. The next generation is seeing the love that's coming through you and the understanding that you're not judging, you're there showing up for people the way they need you to, and that's beautiful. So everyone, there is always hope. Right, Krishna?
Thank you. Thank you all for coming and making this time together so special and really something I'll never forget. It's really, thank you. Thank you all.